Good evening and blessings out there, everybody. What's going on? It's your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Look, today I'm coming to you from my trusty, dusty board today. Look, I felt like drawing a little bit, felt like standing up just a little bit. So here we go. Let's get into it. So first of all, we want to take this time to acknowledge that today is the day where we commemorate the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So we definitely want to show some love to him, all that he did to help advance our mindset, to help paint the picture of what this great country should be, how each one of us should strive to want to be a much better citizen in our community, right? We've got to get to the point where we stop judging people based on the color of their skin and look more at the content of their character, right? So again, I hope that that's something that you take into your day-to-day life. Again, stop looking at people for their color and treat them based on the content of their character, right? So again, that's probably one of the biggest messages that I got from Dr. King that I work my best to live off of every day. I don't care how much you have. I don't care what your title is. I care about the content of your character, right? And so I hope that we can get to a place where, again, we get past a lot of these isms and schisms. And guess what you're going to realize? What a lot of us going to realize is we are a lot alike. You're going to realize that, again, when you start peeling back the layers, you're going to realize we are all alike because people are people. And so we all come from one race. That's the human race. That's what I subscribe to. Now, again, I'm blackity black, black, black. But again, I realize when it comes to humanity, we all come from the human race, right? If you cut me, I bleed. If I cut you, you bleed. Again, if we put our blood together, how can we tell which one is which? We cannot. So again, that's where my thought process comes from. That's why I appreciate Dr. King and what he stood for with respect to that. So now let's get to it. So I want to talk today about your retirement, right? I've been teaching here very, very fervently because I want people to make sure that you understand how to protect your retirement. It makes absolutely no sense that on a day and time like today, when we are the wealthiest we have ever been, that you don't know whether or not you're going to be able to retire, right? And I want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And you should make sure that that doesn't happen. Why? Because you don't want to be to a point where when you're supposed to retire, you can't retire because you have to keep working, right? So again, coming to my trusty board because I kind of want to draw it out. I hope y'all can read my writing. If not, don't judge me. Don't come for me too hard in the comments because y'all know I go back. So either way, let's get started. So what are we talking about here? So I was looking over an article the other day, and the article was in Market Watch, and it was about a fellow by the name of Ted Benner. Now, if you've been around me a little bit, you should know who Ted Benner is. Ted Benner is the consultant that is known as the father of the 401k. Ted Benner is the one that came up with that strategy where with what he would do, he would take the onus off of a corporation to be able to make sure that their people have retirement. So he took the onus off of the corporation and he put the majority of the onus on the employee, you and I. And when he did that, what that did was now the company just comes back. Let me move it back a little bit, bother me. But what that meant now is now all the company has to do is turn around and put in on it, right? And then as a result of that, that's what we're going to talk about today. So the company just puts in on it. And what most people don't know is that when your company puts in to your 401k, they get what's called a tax break. Now, what does that mean? A tax break basically means that if they made $100 million that year, but they put 10% into the 401k employees into their employees' retirement, then that means they now only have to pay taxes on that 90%. Does that make sense? So they get a tax break for what they contribute to your retirement, right? Again, you got to know that. You have to understand that your company is not just all love and they're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart. That's not the case. There is a financial incentive for them to put into your 401k. And here we go again. What I really want you to understand is a lot of companies today are not even giving 401ks. I was talking to a couple of clients last week. They say their company stopped matching. So their company not even doing the 401k, right? So again, you got to make sure that you understand what it is that you're dealing with. So again, your company gets a tax break. That's why they do it. And that's why they want you to do it. And again, because they want to make sure that, again, it looks like it's growing. Now, here's the next thing most people don't know. The next thing people don't know is that your 401k, your retirement account, is part of the company portfolio. Yes, it's part of the company portfolio. What does that mean? That means if that company has a valuation of so many hundreds of million dollars, so many billions of dollars, a portion of that is retirement money. It is your retirement money. It is a bulk of the retirement money from each one of the employees that has put into that. Now, that's good in a sense, because as it relates to if it's a publicly traded company, it looks like the company is much bigger than what it is, right? The downside to that, and this is what people are starting to find out about, the downside to that is this, is that at the point where that company files bankruptcy, if they file bankruptcy, do you not know that whatever money is not vested, meaning you've been to the company, in the company long enough for you to have basically earned that money, if whatever money is not vested, you lose. So let me put numbers to it. You know I'm a numbers guy. Oh, wow. Let me get. And we're back. So let's say that there you are, and let's say you got $100,000 in your 401k, and let's say you put in 50, and your company put in 50. But let's just say you're not quite vested yet. You haven't been there the 5 years, the 7 years, the 10, whatever they say. You've not been there long enough, and the company shut down. Now, instead of having $100,000 in your retirement account, you actually only have 50. Absolutely. Most people don't know that because they don't even understand the fact of why the company insists on them putting into the 401k. So I hope by now you're able to see that the first two reasons for your company to want you to put into their corporate retirement plan is not for you. It is for them. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your retirement is for you. So at the end of the day, you got to know this kind of information, right? So now, here's the third point. The third point is everybody says this. Well, Rod, it's free money. Rod, it's free money. Man, let me tell you something. Free is free. Free means that there is no strings attached. For example, when you go to the Costco, when you go to Sam's Club, if they have a free sample, they don't be like, okay, hey, that's free. Now I'm going to bill you when you go through and check out, right? No. A free sample means, hey, you get a chance to taste it. If you like it, then you have the option to buy more, right? That's not what's happening here. And most people don't find out that this is not free money until when? Until they retire. And that's when they find out they have to pay taxes on the growth. What are you talking about, Hickman? Yeah, man. Yeah. So let me give you some numbers. So imagine, if you would, here it is. You have, again, let's say $1 million in your retirement account. You got $1 million in your retirement account. And you get ready to retire. You're at full retirement age. You ready to cancel Christmas. You like, man, I got this $1 million. I'm finna ride off into the sunset. I'm gonna go get me a dune buggy. I'm gonna get me a little truck. I'm gonna get me a little Airfoil. What's the little Streamline? I'm gonna get me one of these little RVs, and I'm finna ride the road. I'm out. That's what you say to everybody. But guess what? A pimp named Uncle Sugar gonna come holler at you real quick. He's gonna be like, hey, look here, let me holler at you there real fast, right? Let me talk to you. You do know you gotta pay taxes on the growth, right? That's what they're gonna tell you. You do have to pay taxes on the growth. You're like, wait, what? Yeah. And let's just be nice and say it's 35%. If it's 35%, that means now that you have to pay $350,000 to Uncle Sugar. Absolutely. So you're paying $350,000 out of your $1 million, right? $100,000 a year. You literally just gave Uncle Sam 10 years of your annual income in taxes because you're retired. Why? Because they got a tax break. It was part of your company portfolio, and you fell for the fact that you thought it was free money. That's what happened. So now there you are, like, well, wait a minute, man. You mean to tell me that where I thought I had $1 million, now I only have $650,000? Absolutely. And let's just pray that you're not in a state that has state taxes. Because then your state taxes, they're going to take some of that money too. Yeah, you know. So again, if your state taxes, again, $650,000, let's just say they take $150,000, now you're down to $500,000. And that's all you have to live on for the rest of your life. And folks, that is why people realize, wait a minute, I can't retire. I can't afford to. Or they may retire for a year or two and then go get another job doing something else. That's why. That's why. And the reason why I'm bringing this up on a day like today is because today is the day where when we talk about I have a dream. And I hope that each one of you have a dream of what retirement looks like. I hope that when you hear this video, no matter what platform it's on, I hope you'll say to yourself, you know what? This is my dream. My dream is to do ... My dream is I want to do X, Y, and Z. My dream is I want to do this. I hope that you start dreaming. And as you start dreaming, I hope that you also get to the point where you realize my dreams are non-negotiable. I've got to make sure that I have enough money to retire on because I don't want to have to go and be no Walmart greeter. I don't want to have to go and do Uber and Lyft. And again, there's nothing wrong with that if you have to do what you have to do. There's nothing in the world wrong with that. But again, you must make sure that you are protected. And I'm being honest, folks, there's a lot of people that are not protected. The number of people that are in the area to retire but cannot grow daily, right? Last year, it was 80% of people were not prepared for retirement. 80% of people who were in retirement age were not prepared to retire. That should cause concern for all of us. Why is that? I'll circle back to what I started saying initially. Remember the 401k, which everybody loves. Again, I understand. That's what we've been taught. But when the originator of it, the one that created it, said that it has become a monster, we've got to start taking some seconds to pause and say, okay, what we got going on here? Wait, ho, wait a minute, guy. You created this program for us to have. I put my hope in it, and now you're telling me it's a monster? What happened? I'm going to tell you what happened, right? So there are a couple of conditions that must exist in order for your 401k to really, really be effective, right? There's only a couple of things that must exist simultaneously, meaning both of them have to exist at the same time. They cannot be one or the other. Both have to be there in tandem. The first thing that has to happen is low taxes. When this 401k program was implemented, taxes were very low at the time, right? So when the taxes are low, that means you keep more of your money. Does that make sense? When taxes were 3-4%, you kept more of your money. Think about it this way. If the market grows on average over the 10-year period 7%, right, you basically have kept more of your money, right? Even if the taxes are 3-4%, you still keep 4% of your money. Does that make sense? So you get the better share of your money. Now, that's the first one. The next condition that must exist is low inflation. Low inflation must exist. I use this example all the time, and I hope you all will consider it. Back in the day, before the pandemic, wow. When we say back in the day, who would have thought we were talking about just around the pandemic time? But think about it. Back in the day, before the pandemic, Subway went popular because they had a jingle. And that jingle was the $5 footlong, right? All of us know it. Now, when the pandemic kicked off, I ask people this question all the time. Could you still get a $5 footlong from Subway? The answer is no. The answer is even the cheap sub was $11, $12. Right? Now, here's how I define inflation, because a lot of the times we hear words out there, we hear terms being thrown around on the news, but we don't really know what they mean. So let me give you the example and a great definition of what inflation is. Inflation means when you lose the buying power of your dollar, right? So let's talk about it. I'll keep Subway, for example. So Subway said it's a $5 footlong. During the pandemic, when I would eat Subway, I would get the steak and cheese. The steak and cheese then went up to $13.99. So notice now, I didn't get any more meat. I didn't get any more bread. I told them to add any more stuff on there, though, like the lettuce and all that there. You know, I told them to add the roughage on there. But what I want you to understand is I paid 175 to 80% more for the same sandwich. That's inflation. And where that goes with your money is, today, $1 million might be good. But 15 years from now, that $1 million ain't going to be worth $1 million. Because inflation goes up every year about 3%. And so if your money is not growing ahead of the inflation rate, then guess what that means? You're going to end up running out of money and you're going to end up having to retire. Folks, this is what's happening to people. I hate that it's happening to people. I hate to be the guy that comes out here and tell you, but I'd much rather tell you now than let you keep driving down the road and run off the bridge, right? The bridge is out. You need to take a look at your 401k. You need to take a look at your whatever you have for your retirement and what vehicle your money is in. Because if your money is not consistently giving you a great return on your money, you need to move it out of there. Period and point blank. I'm just going to tell you. Because your retirement money, your dream for retirement must be non-negotiable. Meaning, I don't care nothing about it. I don't care nothing about it. Because at the end of the day, you've worked your time. You've done your part. You should be able to go and rest for a while. You should be able to enjoy life. You should be able to travel and not have to worry about, if I travel, am I going to be able to eat? You shouldn't have to go and be a burden on your children or feel like, oh, I got to do this, or my lifestyle has to diminish because I stopped working. It should not happen. It should not have to happen. But guess what? If you are not actively looking at your dream for retirement, guess what? You run the risk of it happening. You run the risk of being in a position where you're not going to be able to retire. Or you'll retire for about a year or so, maybe 18 months, and then you'll go back to work again. And you'll say, oh, yeah, I want to do it, but you really don't want to do it. What happened? You looked at your bank account because you didn't realize that what we've been told in school wasn't all that good. It wasn't really what worked. It worked for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And so as I get ready to get out of here, that's what I want to encourage you on today. Look, man, take a look at it. Just not looking at it, not talking about it is not going to fix it. You're going to have to make a move. You're going to have to bust a move. And that's what Rod Hickman's Generational Wealth Builders is here for. We're here to help you. We're willing to sit down with you and help you develop a plan where we can try to reverse some of the things that have gone on. I can't tell you we're going to help everything, but I promise you we're going to give it our very level best to make sure that we give you the best opportunity to retire in dignity and in grace, right? That's what we do. So again, that's been my time today. I want to just share that with you. Wanted to go to my trusty board because I'm starting to get used to it again. So either way, that's my time for tonight. I love you all. I hope your 2026 is still going great. I hope you haven't reneged on what it is that you want to, going after your goals and dreams. I hope you're still excited. I hope you're still pumped up. I hope you're still chasing your dreams. I hope that you, again, are making this year the best year of your life, right? So until we meet again next time, I'm your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders. And remember, as I always tell you, knowledge is not power until it's applied. You can have an 18-wheeler truck that's gassed up and ready to go, but it's not until you apply the clutch and put it in gear that it's going to move forward. And that's the same thing that happens with this information. So until we meet again next time, y'all take care. God bless. All right.